Have you ever heard of a villain that looks exactly like the protagonist of the story? Well, in this story, Sawa Rakan comes to meet an unknown trespasser from another world when he discovers that the tyrannical prince of the foreign planet looks identical to him. To make matters even more complicated, Rakan possesses the unique powers to nurture plants and life, making him the only hope of the other world. Let's unravel the mysteries surrounding the two worlds as we dive into this tale. Standing atop the desert with his hands clutched to a branch-like weapon, the man is at his wit's end as he aims. His target is in the stretches of the vast land far away, the head ringleader or the prince. The man hopes to assassinate the prince and is about to take his shot when the very air begins distorting, pulling away his body as he disappears into nothingness. The story takes place in the present, where Rakan presents a set of beautiful flowers to his teacher, who happily favors his choice and wants him to deliver them. Rakan frequently sells to his teachers and students, making him an attractive figure to other classes. The teachers claim that he's the flower shop boy, while the girls wonder if he has a girlfriend because of his charming looks. Would you look at that? Our protagonist is a riz master from the start. Rakan is popular because of his looks and attraction to the flowers, leaving people to wonder if his family runs some sort of floral business for selling such flowers. Rakan is known to be kind and hard-working, and his presence leaves people in a bright mood each time. Rakan is also known to live by himself, pay for his tuition and rent fees, making him an independent and mature person. After taking care of his flower-selling journey today, he gets asked out by a female classmate who thinks to invite him out on a dinner date, hoping to show off her cooking skills. However, her attempts prove to be futile when Rakan claims that he cooks for himself, as he has a passion for cooking, unintentionally leaving the girl on the cold shoulder. Rakan smoothly exits the interaction, leaving the girl's other friends to console the utterly defeated classmate. Sawa Rakan boasts an ordinary life. He is a second-year high school student who lives alone. Rakan comes home to welcome not the presence of another person, but rather his beautiful floral garden. After his mother's death, Rakan began taking care of her growing plants and thought that his home would always grow some kind of greenery, as he fancies his beautiful garden. After tending to a wide variety of his plants, Rakan thinks that it's fine for him to grow them to this extent, because people like to purchase them from him. He recalls that they didn't even grow to such lengths at the time of his mother. Suddenly, Rakan's attention turns to his left as he hears a sound coming from his backyard. When Rakan arrives at the scene, he witnesses the unconscious body of a man lying in his garden. Naturally, Rakan is confused and doesn't know what is going on, questioning why a random man popped out of nowhere. He tries to wake him up, but that's when the man regains consciousness and glares at him, remembering that he looks just like the prince, whom he was on a mission to assassinate. With no hesitation, the man immediately tries to shoot Rakan with his unique branch gun. However, the weapon's bullet chamber is empty as it withers apart in this new world. In the midst of this encounter, Rakan's hand touched the weapon, allowing newer plants to grow from it instead. Rakan is puzzled, while the man questions as to what this could imply. The man tries to fathom the logic behind Rakan's embrace, as his weapon is merely about to crumble. He realizes that this is the legendary Sonomi, a title that Rakan isn't familiar with and hasn't heard of. The man doesn't know why Rakan bears the face of the prince, whom he was hunting in his world, and realizes that he is not the same person. While he is confused in his dilemma, Rakan tells him to get away from his garden, as he is hurting his flowers. His mention of flowers confuses this mysterious man, as he recalls his memory of being distorted from another world. He thinks that he was forcibly transported to this world, where he sees the beautiful flowers and nature growing all over and about. He can't believe his eyes, while Rakan tells him that he might not be a terrible person, because he didn't try to hurt his flowers. The man copes with the fact that Rakan isn't actually the physical embodiment of the prince, and turns his attention to the warm atmosphere brimming with nature. Strangely, he clings to Rakan, claiming that he is indeed Sonomi, a person he deems to be their last hope. Rakan is just as confused, especially when a strange creature pops up from behind, a creature he has never seen before. The man turns to realize that this monster has also been transported to this world. Hastily grabbing a bit of his fruit, the man tells Rakan to grab the object, and when he does, the fruit begins to experience unique growth of its own. After the fruit grows to a considerable length to become a gun-like weapon, the man reflects on having regained his ultimate powers, thanks to Rakan's abilities. With that, he shoots from his weapon, blasting away the dark monster in one sweep motion. Rakan is left standing in bafflement, having no idea of what his world has come to. Inside his house, Rakan tries to deconstruct his situation, especially after the man's explanation, which tells him about the scenario occurring in a different world. Rakan is aware that the man was cast into their world without his intention, and wants to deny the outcome as much as he can. Unable to believe that something as fictitious could even exist, Rakan decides to accept the truth that is posed in front of him, and tries to escape reality by thinking about homework. The man is introduced as Chigusa while Rakan questions why he is capable of growing trees all of a sudden. Bro is confused why he can grow weed, lol. Chigusa tells him that it's actually the work of his own unique powers, as he is also capable of growing his weapon. Chigusa sheds light on the title of Sonomi, which is a name given to the one responsible for being an assistant to all plants. Rakan happens to be this special figure, even though he wasn't brought up as such. Rakan explores the issue of the special weapon, observing it to be a rifle of some kind. Chigusa confirms that the weapon is indeed a rifle, which ends up in a hopeless back and forth, where Chigusa can't confirm if it is a tree or a rifle. Rakan decides to cook dinner for the both of them, and advises Chigusa to hop into the bath to refresh himself. However, Chigusa seems to be illiterate in such ways, requiring Rakan's assistance. Chigusa takes off the bandages from his body, which makes Rakan wonder if he is hurt by any chance. Rakan is rather surprised to find a spotless body, originally expecting him to be covered in scars all over. Standing stark naked to a hopeless extent, Chigusa begs for Rakan's assistance, as he has no idea what to do. Killer assassin and he doesn't know how to shower, damn. After a while, Rakan coaches him on the necessary steps to take a bath, and has to clarify the smallest of things, even the usage of a towel after the shower. Even when he takes care of everything, Chigusa simply walks out without wearing any clothes, requiring even more assistance from Rakan, as he directs them to his pajamas. Rakan recalls the memories of his dear mother, and such memories are embarrassing for even him, as they often relieve themselves asleep on top of the flower bed. Of course, it is embarrassing for Rakan as a guy, but that's the unfortunate memory he often reminisces about. He remembers that 15 years ago, an old man living alone in his house was quite the jolly person who took care of them. Strangely, the old man was suspicious of their whereabouts, claiming for them to be missing from the records. With time, Rakan's memory of the thoughts of another world was eventually forgotten. In the house he lives in, his mother passed, and so did the older man who took care of them, leaving him on his own. Rakan was aware that there was a suspicious background concerning their family, and even with his strange fairy tale of a past, Rakan adjusted his life in order to exist in congruence with the society that only thrived in practicality. Rakan strategically decided to go to school to study well, in the hopes of graduating from a university, and becoming an employed man with a stable income. His later plans in life included getting married and then living his life in the same house he was blessed with. These ordinary goals have now been thwarted as Chigusa has entered his life. Rakan has to deal with him and realizes that Chigusa doesn't know about clocks or much of anything, which makes him question the kind of world he even came from. Oh, so he's not even from Earth to begin with. Bro is an imposter. Rakan goes over the events as Chigusa fell into his garden, possessing a strange tree-like rifle. They faced a unique creature that also popped up out of nowhere. After all these events, Rakan thinks that not much of their situation has been resolved to a great degree. Remembering the sight of Chigusa lying in the flower bed, he remembers the memory of his mother. Rakan can't help but feel suspicious of the person before him. Chigusa sidetracks his contemplation by complimenting his food, which only paints a better impression of the man in Rakan's head. Rakan can't help but wonder why this man is effortlessly smiling at him. Unfortunately, he has to go to school to study. Rakan questions why Chigusa is exploring his room at all, since he instructed him to sleep downstairs. Boasting an innocent smile, Chigusa tells him that Rakan is a precious living being, whom he wants to be around. Rakan wonders if it is because of his ambiguous position as the Sonomi, which Chigusa confirms because he wants to protect Rakan no matter what. protect Plant Boy at all costs. Rakan thinks back to the tree rifle that he had never seen before in his eyes or grown something so bizarre. Chigusa clarifies and drops a bombshell revelation, declaring that Rakan is actually from their world, which is why his garden grows so abundantly. Chigusa emphasizes that they both share the same original world, while Rakan himself has the power of the Sonomi, and also bears the identical appearance of the prince. Rakan questions what he means by the word prince, and decides to write down the word for him. Thankfully, Chigusa is capable of understanding language, and claims that the imperial prince isn't the same prince that he is talking about. Rather, he is the successor of the highest of powers. The prince lauds himself as the child of God, a god that Chigusa denies, as he is a ruler who destroys his own lands. We are shown the perspective of the other world, with a few gatherers murmuring Chigusa's final attempt to snipe down the prince. They question his status, wondering if he is dead as he shot his final bullet. They think that the events transpired exactly per the prophecy of the prince, and wonder what they should do with the remains of the bullets. Suddenly, Kinrei tells them to let the final bullet wither from within. He confirms that the prince has indeed survived, and is shown descending from his flight of stairs with an eerie smile. Dude looks like he is scheming. Oh hell nah. The prince is seen to be reigning victorious, while his underlings question the status of Chigusa, the assailant. The prince whispers a command to Kinrei, who explains that the one known as the ominous Silver has already vanished from their planet, confirming that the remains of the Senru household are now gone for good. They think that it is a favorable development, as his presence poses a threat to the prince's prophesied land. With the destruction of the seed, Kinrei denounces the awakening of a god, whose light shines upon the sand, leaving only his chosen ones to thrive. Saying this, he and the prince leave their subjects, who are in awe and happiness of their new god. They still can't believe that the resilient Chigusa is now gone for good. One of the followers confirms that Chigusa has passed from their world, as he witnessed a bloodied body with arrows pierced all over, and he was sentenced to be crucified in the midst of their desert. They think that someone can't survive such punishment. Narishika, on the other hand, is treated with sheer disrespect, as the others look down on him. He isn't afraid to contest his bullies, and scares them away with his snake-like being. He thinks that their claims are true, as their household is in pure danger. Narishika claims that he was rather summoned here, and suddenly feels the presence that warps and engulfs him, similar to what happened to Chigusa. Back to the scene of Rakan in his class, Rakan finds that everything has returned to a state of peace and calm, until he hears the students shouting about a perverted stalker at the back gate. Rakan hurriedly runs to check on this man, finding Chigusa just standing there unchecked. The girls begin to fawn over Chigusa and wonder if he has any connections to Rakan. They want Rakan to introduce them to the charmer, who is just standing there smiling at Rakan. His smile makes matters even worse as they begin to question their relationship. Chigusa states that he followed Rakan's scent, which makes him appear to be a perverted stalker in the eyes of the teachers. With him being constantly hammered with questions regarding their relationship, Rakan realizes that he needs to come up with a proper lie for such a situation. Rubbing salt on the wound, Chigusa claims that he is Rakan's obedient servant, which only turns the situation for the worse, as Rakan's classmates descend into chaos. Rakan drives him, stating that he doesn't even help around his house. He emphasizes that it's terrible for him to say such a thing in front of others, and wonders about the state of the house as he leaves after locking it. Chigusa simply hands him the key and wonders if he isn't supposed to be coming to pick Rakan up from school. Rakan is left speechless and tells him to wait until he can come out to go home. After they leave school, Rakan walks him around, while Chigusa questions if Rakan is angry at him. Rakan turns to the bank for some cash and claims that he needs to help Chigusa shop for some clothes, while also buying them some vegetables and meat for food. The kicker is that Rakan has already started enjoying this unique way of living life and realizes that it must have felt the same for the older man, who took care of him and his mother, who were strangers to him at one point. Rakan admits that the idea of living alone can get sluggish and makes one feel lonely at times. They return home, and Chigusa is told to go inside. Rakan tells him that he needs to take care of the watering for his plants, and wonders if he should use Chigusa for the task instead. Chigusa is instructed to use the water tap with a shower to spray water over the garden. After a pause, Rakan thinks that perhaps Chigusa is unaware of the water hose and decides to come over to see how he is doing. When Rakan arrives, he finds Chigusa stuck in thought as he sees a man before him. This man is none other than Narishika and his pet snake, both of whom are horrified to see Chigusa alive and well, standing right before them. Chigusa declares that he is, in fact, dead, and wearing a smile, claims that he is grateful for the fact. Narishika orders Ku to aid him, and the snake immediately turns into a sharp sword. Chigusa welcomes the opportunity and tackles Narishika's blade with his tree rifle, before launching it in the air with ease. Narishika orders Ku to return to his snake-like form as he comes back to his body. The two hold each other with their weapons aimed at the throat, putting them in a stalemate. Chigusa claims that it's alright for Rakan to join them, and the second he arrives in front of Narishika, he nervously breaks down, thinking that this is the prince himself. Even Ku, his snake, can't even fathom how the divine child of God is standing right before them. Rakan is left surprised that a snake can actually talk, while also turning into a sword. Chigusa tells him to pick a leaf from the tree and come back. After Rakan does as he is told, Chigusa smirks as the small leaf begins to experience monumental growth and manifests into a greater form. The spectacle leaves the likes of Narika completely speechless and at a loss for words, realizing that the one standing before him is actually Sonomi himself. Chigusa confirms this and states that they need not fight anymore. Narika doubts and is unable to comprehend how the prince is standing before him. Rakan knows that they're not going to solve the situation by arguing back and forth and invites them inside. After he prepares them dinner, Rakan hopes they will have a meaningful conversation with civility. Narika and Chigusa share banter of their own, while the clueless Rakan thinks that even without his notice, the number of people living in his house is beginning to increase. Bro's expenses tripled overnight, lol. Rakan's strange life experiences only continue when the talking snake Ku is startled by the television. Rakan thinks that Ku is the weird one instead, who is also afraid of a typical stove, among other things. The noise makes the snake run back to Narika, complaining about his problems regarding a fire-breathing monster. Best character, Ku the snake. Rakan thinks it's only a normal reaction for them, as they're in a foreign world. He also thinks Narika's reaction is a lot more real than Chigusa, who only touch things without much of a response. Chigusa arrives in their room, once again claiming that Rakan is a precious living being, and that he wants to protect him. Rakan finds it embarrassing each time, while Ku mumbles if the man before them is, in fact, the same Chigusa. Rakan notes glasses in Chigusa's hands, wondering if they are his own, as they once belonged to his foster grandfather. Chigusa wants to use them, while Rakan questions if he has trouble with his eyesight, as he was previously wearing glasses in front of him. Chigusa claims that he doesn't really have any issues in that regard, but he just likes to wear them to intentionally hamper his vision. My guy's fashion sense has dripped out the wazoo. The sound of the clock startles Ku once again, who wants to break it until Chigusa stops the snake. Narika questions why someone like Chigusa belongs to Rakan's place, who tells him that he found him in the garden, just like how he discovered Narika and Ku. Narika is curious and wonders if he should ask about the details from the very beginning, until Ku yells out Narika's name, directing his attention towards the sky. When Narika and Rakan arrive outside, the man is shocked to witness the blue sky, which is yet again another surprising reaction for Rakan. When they are sharing their breakfast, Rakan is told that there is no sun in their world, as an endless barrage of dark clouds has always covered the sky. In fact, those clouds were the only thing that they had ever seen in their lives. Rakan thinks that a world such as that might trouble them in transitioning and adapting to Earth's environment. Narika tells him that their eyes are just fine, because the house is rather dim. He notes that Rakan looks exactly like the prince. However, he is much more animated and expressive in his thoughts. Rakan questions the state of the plants with the absence of the sun, and he is told that only a desert remains on their planet. Rakan finds this fact shocking, while Narika tells him that there is no sight of grass or trees. He wonders about Chigusa's rifle, as a special tree grew from it, wondering if it is also some kind of plant. Chigusa confirms the fact, stating that such a plant exists and grows rifles. Imagine growing plants in your backyard, only to discover that they can create a gun. How cool is that? Rakan thinks that the explanation could only come from a fantasy land, and reflects that there might not be a single resource of energy to power any of the electronics in their world. Narika confirms this because it is his first time seeing such things. He decides to ask about clocks, which is something he knows that they are somewhat familiar with. Narika tells him that they, in fact, have a clock seed grown on a study vine, with the surface color of the seed changing after some time, allowing them to judge the time of day. Rakan ended up letting himself be unguarded, and enthusiastically asked about a number of things before coming to a stop. He reflects that these guys belong to a completely different world, while he was leading a normal life. Chigusa strangely stays close to him, even while he is washing the dishes, with the same excuse that Rakan's existence is a special one. Rakan sends Chigusa outside to do some chores around the house. Chigusa glares at Narika before leaving, giving Rakan enough of a time window to ask about Chigusa's personality. Narika shockingly realizes that Rakan has been housing a stranger without knowing a single thing about him. Narika emphasizes that he shouldn't be housing a stranger so carelessly, including Narika himself. Bro is reminding him that he's dealing with actual foreigners from another planet. Rakan smiles and claims that he finds Narika to be a pleasant person, which causes him to worry a little. Rakan further states that he can sense negativity from people and feels at ease with Chigusa as well. Narika and Ku explain that they don't know much about Chigusa and that he is a famous person in their world based on their rumors. Bearing the Senru family name, Chigusa's rumored story follows that he attempted an assassination on the prince, which failed and led to a death sentence, leaving Chigusa crucified in the midst of a desert. Rakan is stunned when he hears this, while Narika continues stating that he was also shot full of arrows, with many witnesses confirming the event of his bloody appearance. The only thing Narika heard afterward was that he mustered all of his strength to attack the prince, and according to those rumors, Chigusa should officially be dead at this point. Rakan is in utter shock and states that there is not even a single wound on his body to confirm his injuries. That is why Narika issues him a warning to be cautious around Chigusa, as he might have suspicious intentions of his own. With his warning, Rakan realizes something that he glanced over without concern. These people are from a completely different world. Chigusa comes back to fetch Rakan, who is currently visiting the garden. Before walking past the man, Narika wonders if Chigusa wants to talk to him. Chigusa turns to state that he is glad that Narika of the Shigika family is there to protect Rakan while he is away, leaving Narika even more confused as he still doesn't know why they look so much alike. Chigusa claims that he also doesn't know, but what he does know is that Rakan is confirmed to be the Sonomi. Chigusa declares that he is going to fight for as long as Rakan exists, as he has finally found who he was looking for. When asked about who he is going to fight against, Chigusa claims that his target is the prince, revealing that the prince is, in fact, a mere puppet. Saying these ominous yet ambiguous words, he leaves without explanation. Ku questions what he implies by such words, while Narika is left wondering on his own about Chigusa's intentions. Switching to the garden scene with Rakan, he is plagued by a series of questions, including his relation and resemblance to the prince, and his role as Sonomi. He doesn't know why he possesses such a unique ability or if Chigusa is a bad person. He can't help but judge Chigusa harshly and looks back in his mind to find solace in his lost loved ones. With his memories fluttering about, Rakan has imposed a question about his existence. Suddenly, another Ayami monster emerges from the garden with the intention of striking down Rakan. The monster growls at him, startling Rakan as he shouts in fear. Chigusa and Narika rush to the scene to find him facing an Ayami creature. Rakan is too careless, forcing Chigusa to rush in, as he takes the direct brunt of the blow from the creature's body. Chigusa's own body is left impaled by the various strikes, and contrary to his grave injury, his face remains without expression. Chigusa then aims with his rifle and shoots down the beast, forever eliminating it from existence. He then takes off his shirt and severs the creature's limb from his body, before putting his shirt back on. The sight leaves Rakan and Narika at a loss for words, as they don't know what to expect. Rakan rushes to care for Chigusa and wants to tend to his wounds in worry. He is unable to contain himself and his nervous breakdown, but Chigusa calms him down, showing him that his wounds are actually recovering as his blood changes into bandages. Without taking any time, he has already recovered back to full health as Rakan begins to connect the dots about his crucified state and injuries from the past. That's exactly when Chigusa reveals that, although it might be an uncomfortable fact, it is undeniable that he is immortal. Damn, bro tapped into an infinite recovery glitch. The fact stuns both Narika and Rakan, while Chigusa explains that there are plans submerged in his body, and each time he is hurt, the blood turns into bandages, fully recovering his state from the wounds. Chigusa tells him that there would never be a need for him to worry about his wounds, as he doesn't feel a semblance of pain and heals from his injuries in an instant. Chigusa states that his very existence acts as a type of special plant. If he does face the crutches of death, Rakan can always revive him by cutting open his chest and mending the core of his heart, initiating regeneration. Chigusa believes that because of his plant-like state, he can infinitely recover his body, so long as the one known as Sonomi is around to heal him. Rakan finally understands why he is being called a precious living being all along. However, even with this explanation, he comes to slap Chigusa across the face, surprising him. Imagine being an immortal godlike assassin, only to get slapped across the face by a high schooler. Rakan complains that even with his regeneration ability, he shouldn't carelessly get hurt. He also feels incredibly sad because of Chigusa's injuries, and tells him that he's not so heartless to ignore his state. Rakan believes that even with their short time knowing each other, he can't help seeing someone bleed right before his eyes. He cries out in anger, fear, and frustration to state that he would still weep for him, because he would hate to see Chigusa get hurt, and that he should be considerate of others' feelings, even if he doesn't care for his own body. Saying those words, Rakan turns away to go back inside, while his outburst surprises both Narishige and Chigusa. Chigusa is left completely confused by his reaction, while Narishige educates the fool that he should apologize to the kid, especially when he took care of two strangers and cared for them. Narishige is left to his meditation, where he realizes that Chigusa doesn't really seem to have a plan of deception of any kind. It is simply the fact that his feelings have dulled. Ku shares that Rakan is a considerate child, and they find themselves in the joy of having ended up in this world because of Rakan's existence. Chigusa comes to apologize to the infuriated Rakan. Rakan utters the apology for hitting Chigusa as he flips out in frustration. He still holds Chigusa accountable for acting recklessly, and Chigusa tells him that it is fine for him to keep hitting him, since he is incapable of feeling pain. On the contrary, Chigusa thinks that if someone isn't there to hit him, he won't understand the menacing feeling behind their words. Rakan is left shedding yet another tear, while Chigusa rubs it away, reflecting that even with Rakan's uncanny resemblance to the prince, he vows to protect the power of the Sonomi. He doesn't want Rakan to cry, but at the same time feels happy that he made him mad. Rakan finds his confession rather weird, and states that he will only get mad if he does anything strange again. That night, Rakan is sleeping in his bed, while Chigusa guards him right next to it. Narishige comes to share a spot with Chigusa, reflecting that the kid is different from the prince, possessing the capability of expressing his emotions and showing empathy for others. They can't help but hopelessly desire for the boy to be the real prince instead. We are shown the perspective of Chigusa, who possesses a special pair of eyes, a pair of eyes that is capable of seeing past the prince's great malevolent facade, as he is the real culprit behind sucking the nutrients out of their deserts. Chigusa can tell that this man is acting more than like a puppet, an iomi of himself, considering him to be a prince. Damn, what a plot twist! The hope of their world is the main villain instead. In the present, contrary to his hellish encounters with the prince, he finds gentleness in Rakan's face, recognizing him to be the Sonomi, and reflecting on Narishige's actual words from last night, who wondered about the boy being their prince. Rakan doesn't know why. Chigusa pauses and immediately tries to apologize for his mistakes from yesterday. Rakan is flustered, and he overreacted by crying the other day, despite being a junior in high school. Rakan emphasizes that he was mad and ended up hitting him. Every time he smiles, he comments on how different he looks before heading away to make some breakfast. Chigusa is at a loss as he doesn't know what he should be doing. Rakan is surprised when he enters the kitchen and finds Narishige, who is preparing them a meal. Rakan is shocked, but Narishige tells him that he doesn't want him to solely take care of them both, which is why he learned how to use the special tools of this world from him, by simply watching Rakan cook. Narishige impressively grasped the ways of heating power and made Rakan feel special, as he had never had anyone look after him after his years of loneliness. Rakan sparkles in joy as he is interested in teaching them how to prepare meals, which leads to Narishige embracing them with warmth, desiring the love of a younger brother like him. Chigusa enters the room, catching both of them hugging each other, and decides to hug as well. His sudden embrace makes Ku the snake passionate as he, too, wraps around their body, while the others beg for him not to tighten. Chigusa claims that he figured that it was a morning ritual, which is the reason he joined. Rakan is baffled and thinks of preparing breakfast, until Ku hops onto his body and slithers away across, making Rakan uneasy. The man forces the stupid snake to read a dictionary to understand a few terms, while the buzzing phone freaks out the creepy crawly. Best character Ku, Part 2. Rakan picks up the phone, which is from the temple, and informs him about the condition of his mother's grave. Sensing the urgency, Rakan and his two fellows of the foreign world decide to visit his mother's grave, and Narishige also adopts a new pair of glasses. Rakan was told that the grass over his mother's gravestone had grown rapidly recently, and he was phoned to do something about it, as it would endanger the grave itself. When Narishige asks about Narishige's family, he learns that the swordsman has no one around but himself to take care of him. He does the same to Chigusa, who claims that he is alone. A long silence rustles after the question, as Rakan realizes all three of them have no one to care for them, making it to be a depressing conversation. In an effort to salvage the discussion, Rakan declares that they are actually friends. His happy confession startles them, which in turn makes him feel uneasy about what he has just said. Rakan and the others find themselves at his family's grave. He wants to clear the weeds by himself, wondering about their condition. When Rakan arrives to spot the condition of the gravestone, he finds it completely overwhelmed and entangled by the weeds. Rakan is so stupefied that he thinks the gravestone has been cursed, as it felt completely opposite the last time he came here. Rakan loses his mind, wondering about the implications of his actions, while Narika decides to use Ku, and immediately chops the weeds in one swoop motion. Narika believes that this happened most likely because of his mother's innate power, as the previous Sonomi. As if he were one, then his mother was also bound to be one, making the plants grow at an abnormal rate after death. Rakan figures out that his mother was also born special, and finds a single flower in the spotless gravestone before turning back. They return home, where Rakan decides to go to the garden instead. Narika accompanies him, and finds that he retrieved the flower from the grave from back then. Rakan plants the flower in a spot, and oddly apologizes to the plants for calling them cursed. Chigusa and Narika take note of his weird habit, and wonder if it is normal for him to communicate with the shrubs. They both find him embarrassingly good-natured for a kid, especially Chigusa, who remembers his kind gestures quite well, to the point that Rakan even cried for him when he was hurt. Chigusa recalls his first encounter with this figure when he recognized him as boasting a similar face to the prince, and then he instead recognized him as the gentle Sonomi Rakan, deeming the boy a necessary accessory for him. Chigusa planned to take such an important accessory back home, to apply his existence for his own sake. While Rakan is away, Chigusa questions Narika, inquiring if there is a way not to like someone to such a degree, as he doesn't want to get close to Rakan. Chigusa emphasizes that he has a mission that he must fulfill at all costs, which is to retrieve the Sanome, and yet he has never felt the warmth of someone in such a long time. Chigusa thinks that it might present a problem if he goes on to like him more in the future, which would tamper with his mission. His confession surprises Narika the most, as he knows the assassin in front of him is known not to talk so casually. Narika questions if he knows of a way to return to their world, and Chigusa confirms that he does. Chigusa claims that there is a bend in Rakan's garden that connects the two worlds, and they could return using that as a gate. Narika and Chigusa, in fact, entered their world using this device and landed in the garden. Rakan doesn't know what they're talking about, and wonders if normal people can see the portal at all. Chigusa claims that his special eyes can see them, and he has confirmed that it is the case, which is why they can return at any time, leaving the matter of when they should go back. Rakan is shocked to learn that Chigusa could have returned home at any point, and thinks that the foreign world seems simpler than he thought. Rakan wonders why he kept his mouth quiet up until this point, and decides to leave them alone. That night, Rakan is once again surprised that Chigusa chooses to stay in his room while he sleeps. Chigusa, as if to repeat his habitual words from their first encounter, reminds Rakan that he happens to be a precious living being. Narika, on the other hand, fails to understand Chigusa, knowing that there isn't anything to dislike about the gentle existence of the boy in front of him. Rakan intends to sleep because of his school and decides to turn off the light, leaving the other two to sleep alongside him. While he gazes at the ceiling in his bed, Rakan turns over to look at Narika and Chigusa, realizing that it feels too much like a family trip instead. He can't help but admit the fact that he has found peace in their existence, except these two have to return to their people. However, using the bend in their garden, another mysterious being from the other planet spawns in their world, shedding light on the grim past of the foreign world. Their planet once signaled the end of creation as the world grew continually covered with endless dark clouds that concealed the moon and the sun. Their one and only Sanome was gone, and the Ayami monsters were increasing, rendering the world to its end. Until one day, a boy appeared. This boy stood atop all, declaring himself to be the child of God. Kinrei took note of this boy while he announced himself as the person who would bring salvation into their lands. At first, the people didn't know what to make of the boy until he lifted his hand and cut open the dark clouds to reveal the bright shine of the moon itself. Dazzled by the miracle that he had just performed, the people, including Kinrei, began to take him at his word as he named himself the prince and the son of the god. Kinrei was somehow the only person capable of hearing the voice of the prince and communicating his desires. Thus, he was devoted to the role of aiding the child of God by becoming his servant. That is how Kinrei assisted the prince and conveyed his thoughts. The prince particularly possessed a special pair of eyes capable of seeing things beyond normal perception. With his aid, they discovered many things, including a spring of water. The people believe that the prince's efforts are the reason they have survived as a civilization thus far, finally convinced that he is the undisputed child of God. They thought that the time of salvation drew nearer for them, and the boy only added to their hopes by uttering the prophecy of a light shining over their desert upon the awakening of God. His prophetic declaration dazzled the people as they pondered the meaning behind his words. They know that the prince capably brought back the moon for their sake, and felt hopeful that they would also receive the warmth of the sun. They thought that with the recovery of their son, they could revive the greenery that they had lost. Everything proceeded smoothly in the people's eyes, except for the man known as Chigusa, who saw something no one else did, while they believed they were being led by the hand of God. Boarding the subway, Rakan wakes up from his nap while holding his bouquet of flowers. Narika and Chigusa both accompany him, leaving the other students wondering about Rakan's new mates. They have come to accept that Rakan's family might possess a special gene, because all three of the boys look charming in appearance. That's just facts, these guys look like they're models. However, a strange voice mutters that these people are actually from another world. Rakan is startled by this voice and questions what he has just heard, wondering if he should have taken these guys along with them. When he asks Chigusa and Narika about the reason for their journey, Chigusa confesses that he is a precious being who needs protection. Rakan thinks that it might be because of his role as the Sonomi, and tells Chigusa that there is no danger to him in their world, as he is fine on his own. Arriving at the entrance of their school, Rakan leaves by reminding them outsiders are not allowed to go inside. He directs them to stay in the park if they still insist on waiting for him. After he leaves, Narika inquires about Chigusa's intentions, who claims to want to wait for him. Chigusa has already shown Narika the special spot in Rakan's garden that is capable of sending them to the other world. Chigusa is cautious because he knows that someone else traveled through the bend, leaving a fresh footstep in the garden. He wants to stay on guard in case of an Iomi or another person in their world. Damn, so that's why they decided to come along. Remembering the words of Rakan, Chigusa and Narika decide to keep the matter of the unknown trespasser private, so as to not cause worry to Rakan. Chigusa once again questions Narika what he should do, so as to not end up caring for Rakan to such an extent. He wants to stop his feelings, because he has grown to admire Rakan, not knowing how he can bring him without forcing the boy. Chigusa is troubled more and more, while Narika thinks that he's just the type of person who takes matters too seriously. Fu chimes in to rub salt over the wound, and also offers Chigusa to ask him for advice. Fu thinks that Chigusa should make Rakan grow closer to him, instead of the other way around. Narika doesn't know where this conversation is headed, but Chigusa has decided to influence Rakan instead. Switching the scene to Rakan while he is self-studying, the boy is bothered about his supposed cousins from others, wondering if they have some links to the modeling world. Rakan ponders his actions and if he should force them to leave. He doesn't want to garner any affection for them, thinking that they will eventually depart from his world anyway, leaving him alone. Rakan recalls that his mother was also the Sonomi and ponders his existence. He doesn't know how he should even think about himself and knows that he didn't ask for further details on purpose. Rakan thought that he shouldn't be getting involved in their business, which made him sad because of his role as the supposed Sonomi. His contemplation takes another shift as he considers himself a normal person growing up in a normal world. He loves the ordinary life that he shares and finds studying to be interesting. Rakan cares too much about his normal life and is at his wit's end. Amidst his contemplation, Rakan's eyes suddenly shift to a man covered in vines, seated right outside the window. This man is carefully observing him, amazed that this boy is the perfect imitation of their divine prince. Things get especially strange when Rakan realizes that this man cannot be seen by the rest of his classmates, even when he tries to direct their attention to the window. They be like, bro is hallucinating, like what? Connecting the dots, Rakan figures that this person is also from a different world, and is left with more questions. The foreigner man in question seemingly walks around the people without being seen, as the vines he is surrounded by are of powerful magic, capable of concealing him. The man finds this world completely fascinating, as everything around him is full of interesting details. The story of Tuno Toji follows that he was once healed by the Divine Prince and has recovered his vision since then. Toji became an utmost loyal servant to Kinrei and the prince and wondered why they would favor him in such a way. Kinrei issues the order on behalf of the prince, who wants Toji to go on and fulfill his purpose. Toji was tasked with this special mission for both their sakes, to the point where he traveled to another world for the cause. Toji recalls Kinrei's explanation of the vines, as they boast a special ability that creates a transparent shield around the person and wrapped inside. The vines also mute the sounds from the inside of the shield and conceal the person's presence from normal sight, making him secure to traverse in the other world. This is to ensure that Toji doesn't strike as unusual to the other inhabitants on Earth, as no one would be able to see him. Switching to the scene of Chigusa and Narishika, Rakan comes to witness a battle taking place between them with another assailant. Toji has just unleashed his attack and managed to hurt Chigusa by inflicting a wound with his gun. Narishika doesn't know how Chigusa got shot, as he is incapable of seeing the man before him. Narishika doesn't find anyone to be standing right in front of them, while Toji grows confident that the others can't see him. He is confident that his previous shot inflicted a lethal wound on Chigusa, leaving him to only worry about Narishika and the imitation of the prince. Shockingly enough, Chigusa pulls the trigger on Toji, stunning him with his sudden action. He discovers that Chigusa's wounds are recovering right before his eyes, thanks to the bandages wrapping around the body. Not only that, Toji is alarmed that Chigusa is capable of seeing through the invisibility cloak. He is convinced that the man before him is, indeed, a demon who escaped to another world. Kinrei was tasked to deal with such a demon, ensuring his elimination along with the others, who have made contact with such a man. The duty was solely entrusted to him, as per his reason and purpose of birth. At the time, Toji grew excited about receiving this divine mission as an envoy of the prince. Rakan is spotted worried by one of his teachers. The boy points to the outside, but his teacher sees absolutely nothing happening. This is because the battle between Chigusa and Toji is being concealed by the power of the special vines. Rakan feels the need to leave the school and finds himself frustrated that no one else can see the same things he does. He knows that Chigusa is injured yet again, and the man responsible for injuring him wields a similar plant rifle. Rakan questions if the vines have anything to do with blocking the sound as well, and hopes to head over to Chigusa despite his many questions. Toji finds himself perplexed by the involvement of the fake prince and spots that Chigusa's wounds heal quickly. Rakan on the other hand thinks that even if Chigusa doesn't feel the pain of his wounds, Rakan finds himself scarred instead. Narishika caters to the injured Toji and questions why he was suddenly attacked. Chigusa points his gun towards the front, adding more to Narishika's confusion as he sees no person there. Chigusa explains that he was attacked by a man standing directly in front of him, roughly 100 meters in distance. Chigusa jots down that this man's body is also enveloped by the vines, which is enough for Narishika to realize that it is the work of the invisible vines being used by the attacker. Narishika thinks that he should clear the vines and deploy Ku for the job. Toji, on the opposing end, is left shocked that Chigusa's wounds are healing to this extent, not to mention the fact that Chigusa is capable of seeing through his concealment. Toji finds himself believing that Chigusa is a monster who comes from a family of sinners. He hopes to fire another shot to take down Chigusa. Chigusa manages to chop down the vines covering the man's body, making him appear visible to Narishika, who wonders if the two share a connection. Chigusa believes that Toji is a dangerous assailant and hopes to finish him off at once. The moment he is about to deploy his kill shot, Rakan comes to stop him, claiming that it is unwise to shoot the man. Chigusa finds it troublesome that he is being told not to attack, despite the assailant's attack on them. Rakan reasons that their enemy cannot use their rifle, and he thinks that it's only courteous to listen to their attacker's story first. Imagine trying to be diplomatic with a killer that is sent to literally dispose of you and your allies. In doing so, Rakan questions Toji's intentions and his identity. Toji knows that the rifle is useless and doesn't have much of an option. He questions the fake prince instead and wonders why he bears such a face. Toji declares that Rakan must be the one who brought Chigusa into this world and thinks that he is deliberately hiding here to concoct a scheme and launch an attack after gathering his allies. Narishika and Chigusa stare blankly, while Rakan claims that he doesn't know anything going on in the other world. He enlightens Toji that Chigusa and Narishika are strangers to him as well, which means he doesn't have any intentions and should be the one explained to instead. Toji is at a loss for words and quickly summarizes the situation for the boy. Toji straight up calls Chigusa and Narishika trash, as one of them is a known fugitive in their world, while the other is considered the last descendant of a strange clan. To cut his story short, both of these people are notorious and shameful people in their country. Toji claims that Narishige is the result of a clan that established a law to only give birth to females. That is their one and only mission, and in the case of a boy, it is considered an ominous foretelling. Damn, Narishige has been feeling like Naruto his entire life. Rakan is struck by the oddity of such a bizarre clan, and wonders about their mission. Toji explains that the Shigeka clan exists for the sole purpose of the Sano, as only Shigeka girls are capable of bringing forth the Sanomi. That is their one and only mission in their life, and because of that, no boy has ever been born into their clan. The Sanomi are people who are known to be diminishing in their world, which is an incredibly horrid omen for the state of their world. Toji outright lashes at Narishige, deeming him to be the reason responsible for their world starting to wither apart, as the Shigeka boy is a sign of mass extinction. Narishige sadly agrees with such facts in silence, recalling how he felt refreshed in the company of the boy before him. He was shunned throughout his existence, and questioned the reason why he lived at all. When talking about the Senru clan, Rakan is told that there was a monster long ago called the Senjin. Chigusa happens to be the direct descendant of the monster, bearing immortality like an inhuman creature. The rumor follows that the original monster only died when he went mad. This madness is passed down to the generations, and the monster is eventually chained, so that he can never escape. The Senru clan is deemed to be the clan of the sinners, until only one person remains, that being Chigusa himself. Chigusa confirms Toji's thoughts in his head, knowing that he is bound to embrace madness someday. Damn, dude is a level 999 boss by himself. The two of them feel ashamed to stand in front of the sacred boy. Contrary to their fleeting beliefs about themselves, Rakan is different. He is oblivious to the warnings, and states that he could have narrowed down the explanation to Chigusa being a special being, while Narishige is an unforeseen incident. His words catch Chigusa and Narishige's attention, while Toji fails to grasp the boy's mentality. Haha, Rakan's true ability is Talk no Jutsu, which he probably also learned from Naruto. Rakan claims that it's not wrong to present a different perspective, and claims that they're looking at the two people in a malicious way, for little to no reason. He thinks that even the clan of the sinners, or the clan birthing females, bears no connection to the people standing before him. Rakan believes that their birth doesn't happen to be the result of their own faults, and that it is only dependent on the individual to choose who they are. Rakan's determined yet valiant words send Toji back to the memories of his childhood, where he was looked down upon as a child, unneeded to the Tuno clan because of his eyes. The boy was considered an unnecessary existence, and was told to be tossed aside. Following his memory, Toji questions if the rule still applies if Toji is blind. Obviously, Rakan has little context to the man's story and cluelessly questions if he is capable of sight at all. Toji corrects him, saying that he can see, but still can't grasp an understanding of the boy before him. Rakan stands defiant and tells Toji that it is better to understand other people's problems before shooting them in the face. Suddenly, Narishige and Chigusa are both caged by a web, thanks to Toji's advances. Toji calls the boy naive and states that he has more in his arsenal than just a mere gun. Toji believes that he should be able to take all of them down with his poisoned sword. Narishige knows that this spells trouble, as not even Ku can move. Chigusa tries a different approach and aims the rifle against his body. Rakan is concerned as to what he is about to do and stops him from the attempt. Next, Rakan takes his gun and a seed before giving it the experience of growth. The spectacle strikes Narishige with great surprise as he sees a miracle taking place before his eyes. Preparing the weapon for Chigusa, Rakan allows him to pull the trigger at last, capturing Narishige with his own weapon. With his confiscation, Rakan decides to hide the man in the trees, where nobody else can find him. Narishige comes over to give Rakan a sample of the invisible vines, who also begin to grow because of his embrace. Rakan is informed of the abilities of the invisible vines, while Narishige states that he can't see them, while Chigusa and Rakan can. Toji, at this point, believes that Rakan might be the Sanomi as well. Narishige tells Rakan to help him grow the invisible vines, so they can hide Toji from the rest. Toji contemplates his situation, not knowing what is taking place. He knows that this man is the fake prince, while at the same time a Sanomi. Toji muses if the original prince knows anything about this at all. Although Toji was tasked with this mission, he ended up getting captured instead. Toji doesn't know what he should be doing, while Narishige senses a unique feeling for Rakan and Chigusa, believing that there is some mystical force that binds their connection together. He is grateful to meet such a special presence in this new world. Rakan suggests that they take this kidnapped man back to their house for a full story. Narishige agrees with the idea, and the three of them share another hug. Chigusa tells Rakan that he has taken care of the vines and wants to dispose of Toji next. Rakan emphasizes that they won't be disposing of the man and advises Chigusa not to go around attacking people without reason. My guy doesn't understand that they are the ones who got attacked first, dense protagonist syndrome. This is reflective of Rakan's beliefs, who find the state of an injured person completely miserable despite their deeds. Chigusa accepts the order and claims that he feels content every time Rakan gives him instructions. Chigusa oddly claims that he would rather prefer Rakan to keep on scolding him and confesses that he is out to get him. The remark is not enough to faze Rakan, and Toji is left thinking that Chigusa is a blatant pervert who doesn't know what's right. We're shown a small flashback into the events that transpired into this world thus far. Chigusa was cast into the world where he met Rakan, who also put up with Narika and Ku, the both of which also met the same fate. The three of them grew comfortable with each other over time and began liking each other, until Toji showed up and wanted to assassinate all three of them. Through Rakan's powers, they managed to overcome this threat. In the present moment, Rakan is trying his best to distract himself, while Toji is covered in handcuffs that are to be restrained. Rakan cooks them dinner and wants the group to have a civilized discussion for a start. Toji lashes out at him, demanding his real identity, bearing the prince's face and also wielding the power of the Sonomi. Rakan claims that he doesn't really know anything regarding their prince or his powers. Toji is told to introduce himself, but he rejects them. Eventually, Toji gives away his clan's name, while Narika wonders if he is also infamous in the clan, as he refuses to share his first name. Toji counters that Narika is useless in his own clan, which provokes the snake coup, and as a result, he chomps down on Toji's dinner instead. Best Character Coup, Part 3. Like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see this snake reappear in future parts. Rakan reintroduces the discussion to the main topic and wonders what he should ask next. Chigusa makes an awkward interjection and confesses that he wants Rakan to be his prince. The boy is cringed and rejects him back to back. Toji is intimidated by finding Chigusa a perverted man, while Chigusa sincerely claims that he is just trying to win over Rakan so that he can bring him back to his world. When Rakan questions why, he realizes that it is because of his existence as the Sonomi. Rakan doesn't pay attention to his concerns and gets back on topic. The snake switches off the TV as they initiate the conversation from the beginning. Rakan wants to know why they even came to this world in the first place, starting with Narika. He replies that he was just summoned directly without a motive. He remembers the senior Shigeyuki summoning him, who is also the head of the Shigeka clan. Rakan knows that Chigusa felt a similar feeling and was also cast out. He wonders if the same happened to him, leading him into this world. Rakan tells them that he wasn't exactly born here and only fell down into the garden with his mother 15 years back. Narika and Ku are both shocked that he glanced over such an important detail before. They discuss how only a Sonomi can give birth to a Sonomi boy, which means there can't be a Sonomi girl. Rakan wonders about the Sonomi women, including his mother, and realizes that the Sonomi people barely have any children. Rakan explained that his mother was special, while his father was an ordinary man. Haha, his dad is the average Joe. Rakan is stunned and wonders if his father is alive and well in the other world, having never thought about it before. They also question if Rakan happens to be the prince's twin brother, as they bear the exact same face. Chigusa shuts down this theory, claiming that the prince is not a human but, in fact, an Aomi. The group is alerted by this revelation, as Chigusa confirms the puppet prince is nothing more than an Aomi, who robs the nutrients from the desert and moves them. Rakan comes to the realization that the prince is responsible for destroying their world all along. Toji finds it unacceptable to accept such a fact, while Chigusa claims that he was cast out by Kinrei into this world the second he tried to take his shot at the prince. What really happened was that Kinrei deployed a space shield that sucked him inside, and before he knew it, Chigusa was already there. Well, that explains why their world is such a mess. That is when Toji wonders if he, too, was cast out by Kinrei. He is in a state of denial and thinks that they're lying. Toji muses that his orders were to kill Chigusa and everyone who came in contact with him. He shouts that the prince is responsible for blessing him with eyes, as he was once blind and received such kindness. Rakan and Chigusa are left in confusion, while Narika concludes that he actually came here by the orders of the prince, and Kinrei to eliminate all three. Narika fails to grasp how the prince would be aware of their existence in another world, including someone like Rakan who must have been a thorn in his path. Chigusa claims that the prince's goal is to get rid of all the thorny obstacles in his way, including the demon Chigusa, the notorious man of Shigika, the Sonomi prince, and Toji. Chigusa claims that Toji was fooled to have come here, because Kinrei already knows about his immortality. Chigusa furthers that he is immortal according to the legend, and Kinrei still sent Toji into this world for a suicide mission that he couldn't ever complete. What a bombshell, the prince was actually trying to get rid of him. Toji throws a tantrum and shows animosity towards Chigusa before getting his face slapped by Rakan, who wants to keep the conversation civil. Rakan doesn't care if the other world is about to end, and states that stepping on the table is ill-mannered. I mean, this guy is the definition of an Asian parent, got his priorities straight. He shows empathy to both sides and suggests that they eat in the meantime. Rakan emphasizes that the food isn't poisoned and that there is nothing for Toji to worry about. Toji is familiarized by his kindness and questions why he is on the receiving end of such a meal. In the wretched landscape of the other world, the people of the Shigika family wonder where Narika disappeared. The leader of the clan, Shijiyuki, claims that someone like him is unnecessary and should be forgotten about, as he should never have been born into their family. She coldly demonstrates to his daughter, Sei, that he bears a meaningless existence with a bad omen, and with his absence, the Shigika clan will be blessed with a bright future. They also talk about the last descendant of the Senru clan, meaning Chigusa was also eliminated in their eyes. The people believe that both of these occurrences are a great sign for them, as the day of God's rebirth is close. They think that they are chosen at last, not knowing anything better.